Okay, so I was going to record a new episode of Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Time, but still no save here. But even if I go to File, Load, State, there's and I kept two saves, one for the beginning of the episode and one for the end of the episode, and neither are here. Like, it's just this one I accidentally did earlier. Can't find, so that just save states are gone. Just gone. Yeah, my throat's a bit raspy, so that's the thing. So I'm gonna have to cancel this LP. There's been quite a few LP cancels recently, but unfortunately this has to be done because no matter what I do, the saves won't stay, and I can't just do the entire game in one sitting because this is a big game, and that's why I had it as a main LP. So I'll do my best to give you the rundown of the plot, basic rundown of the plot. So basically, after a little while, the Zubat and the Coughing return, but they have a leader this time called Skunk Tank, and those three mess with you a bit. They eat all the food in the storage, and when Chatot sends you to go get some perfect apples because they ate them all, they beat you there, eat a lot of the apples that were there, then beat you, and run off with the rest of the apples, and they gave Wiggly a tough one just to lower their trust in you. And then this is all in preparation for a big exploration where select members of the guide will go. So that makes this even more frustrating for your partner, because they really want to go. Then after you complete a couple more missions, the day comes for the grand expedition, and the list of members to go is revealed. And because Wigglytuff is Wigglytuff, literally everybody gets to go. I mean, would you expect less from Wiggly? Well, you don't really know Wigglytuff that well because the LP didn't go that well, and I literally can't create a save state. I don't know why. Maybe if I can, I might try reviving it at some point, but after that everybody goes. You get paired up with Bidoof as well, so your partner and Bidoof go. None of your teammates that you have gathered can go, so it's just you, your partner, and Bidoof. And eventually just you and your partner. You get through a mountain, and there's two paths you can take. One path will continue on to the next step part. The other will, the other one will just send you back there, and you can take that path again if you just want to grind some levels. And if you're a bit under leveled, or if you just want to grind, I would definitely look up what path what path you would need to take to just get sent back, and then go down there a couple times, and then go down the correct path. Once you get there, that you arrive in this forest, and it's just full of fog, and you're at this base camp. And I think over there there's a bit where you stop. Then you go to the base camp, But if that's true, then not really much of anything happens there, and you just get an extra dungeon. And then you meet up with Chatart. Bidoof will separate from you, and you and your partner have to go alone. So you you find your way through the misty forests, and then but before you go in, you find this red rock, and your partner picks it up, and then you get through the misty forest, and you find this big, what you would know as ground on the statue, but you and your partner in the game really don't know what it is. At least I think B just splits off with you then. He might not, he might split off with you now. It's been a little while since I've seen this bit, so I could be wrong. So take everything what I'm saying with a pinch of salt, because I'm getting most of it right, probably, and just like little details here and there wrong that aren't too big to the plot. You and your partner put the red gem into Groundon's chest after you experience a vision from a different time. I'm just gonna say from a different time for now because spoilers. And then that'll clear up all the fog. Then you make your way through 2 more dungeons, I think, with a little Kangaskhan area in between for you to rest up at and save. And then you fight Groundon. And just before you fight him, Child goes, "Oh yes, Groundon is a legendary Pokemon who is said to have created a continent. Any normal Pokemon going up against him would just be simply foolish." And it really builds up the battle really well. Anyway, after you have beaten Groundon, oh no, this is a bit that I keep on getting mixed up. The 3 lake spirits are in this game, and you meet one of them here. I can't remember if it's Uxie, Azelf, or Mesprit. I keep on getting those 3 mixed up. But you meet one of the lake spirits from Sinnoh, and that lake spirit basically reveals that they're protecting a time gear, which we had previously established was basically kept the flow of time in order in a certain area, and you go to this cave. And now, even though the graphics are very simple by today's standards, it still looks really good. In my opinion, at least. Anyway, and you see the Tangia, and then Wigglytuff and the rest of the guide catches up with you, and your partner basically persuades the lake spirit to not wipe your memories of the lake. So in exchange for them promising to not reveal the location of the time gear, and no, the lake spirit did not wipe your memory. It is you asked, and the lake spirit said, no human had ever made it up there, and even if they did erase the memory of a human, they would not be able to erase anything that is not related to the lake. Yeah. And then water spouts up, and then a whole bunch of Volbeat and Illumise fly around it, and it looks really nice. That's what I was talking about. And then everybody heads back. And the Team Skull is no longer with the guide because they tried to attack Wigglytuff behind it, sneak attack him, but they got completely destroyed in the games where it's like, even there was Wigglytuff really did a number on us while they're laid there in pain, unable to move. So you head back to Wigglytuff's guide. After a few missions, one night you see that Grovyle found that lake with that, with that lake spirit, and they said, "I knew I should have erased their memories. I knew I should have." Anyway, and then Grovyle was just like, "What are you talking about? I have no idea. Nobody told me about this place. I just came here. I already knew. I'll be taking that time gear now." So Grovyle, well, if you're smart enough, you'll know it's a Grovyle, but they don't tell you it's a Grovyle yet. Anyway, so Grovyle takes the time gear. I think, it's about this time when when a new character is introduced called Dusknoir. The Great Dusknoir. Apparently a great adventurer. Only appeared recently, but ever since he appeared on the scene, he has made a massive impact. And basically you and your partner ask him if he knows of a human turning into a Pokemon and about your visions. And he reveals that he had not heard of a human turning into a Pokemon before, but he does know of your ability. It's called a Dimensional Scream. It's basically when you touch an object, you can get a vision of the past, present, or future. And he reveals that it's a particularly rare ability. And not long after that, the guy, I can't remember if it was after or before Dusknoir appeared, but the guy that hears about what happened at the lake, and everybody just looks at everybody else and then just like, did anybody tell somebody? I didn't tell anybody, and just like everybody just natters, and then I think it was Chatot who broke it up and just like, of course none of us told anybody. Right, Guide Master? Anyway. And I think eventually they told... No, they didn't tell Dusknoir. Yeah, Dusknoir about it. Because I remember them having to apologise about it earlier, later on in the game. Anyway, later on in the game, not much happens until Dusknoir reveals that he's from the future, and so is Grovyle. And in the future, Grovyle is a wanted criminal. And he came back to this time to steal the time gears. And you basically have to help him find the location of the remaining time gears before Grovyle. And everybody goes on an event on their own expeditions, trying to find where the hidden time gears are. But with the help of what Dusknoir knows. But everybody comes up empty-handed. But when you were at your location at the end of your dungeon, you felt like weird, like you were there before. You also had this feeling at Wigglytuff's base camp, a while back before you found the location of the first time gear. I forgot to mention that. Anyway, so the next day you go back there and you jump into because you were sent to this desert area, so there's a lot of quicksand. So you jumped into a center of this pool of quicksand, and then you pop into this underground tunnel. And one major complaint I have with this game is that there's a lot of enemies here with Sand Force, Sandstream, no, not Sandfall, Sandstream, Sandstorm, and Sandcloak, or whatever the evasion raising ability is for when you're in Sandstorm. And that can make it really annoying when you're just trying to hit your opponents and you just keep on missing and missing. So this is probably one of the harder dungeons in the game. After that, you find the final lake, and then this lake spirit reveals to you that the other lake spirit had told telepathically what had happened, and you basically have to persuade that after you beat them, your partner persuades that lake spirit that they've got it all wrong, and that they've come to help them. And then Grovile turns up. Now this is the point where you can undoubtedly say it was Grovile. Oh no, wait. Sorry, no, I made a mistake. Dusknoir at this point has not revealed that he's from the future. Yeah, so basically Grovile completely owns you and your partner. Then Dusknoir comes and stops him from taking the time gear, I think. Yeah, no, he doesn't stop him from taking the time gear. He tries to stop him, but Grovile escapes. And then Dusknoir disappears. And it is hinted at that he had known Grovile before that encounter. So when you and your partner get back and see Dusknoir again, you ask him, and that's when he reveals he's from the future and know everything about Grovile. Then Bidoof had apparently kept a gem from his expedition to a cave that he went to, and Dusknoir, knowing that you have the dimensional screen, asks Bidoof to let you touch his gem, and then when you do, you get a dimensional screen showing you where the next lake is. You go there. Grovile turns up. Grovile beats you. He takes the time gear. This is if I'm remembering everything correctly. Then you go back. You report everything, and then somebody has the idea because you took the second lake spirits back because they were severely injured. They had the idea to set a trap for Grovile at the second lake. Because the time gear was still there, so that when he went to get that time gear, they could trap him and beat him. Because the reason why Grovile couldn't take that time gear is because that lake spirit had set up a fail-safe where a bunch of pillars of, like, I can't remember if it was crystal or ice, I think it was crystal, shot up from the water so we couldn't get to it. So that was safe this entire time. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. So you basically go back to what you were doing normally after a few missions. You hear back from Dusknoir, and they had caught Grovile. So everybody gathers in the town square where Dusknoir has opened a portal to the future. And him and two Sableye take Grovile back to the future. But before he goes back to the future, he talks to you and your partner, and your partner says, "Stolas says goodbye," and Dusknoir says, "No, it's too soon for goodbyes." Then his belly mouth opens, he grabs you and drags you into the time portal, and then darkness. And you wake up in a jail cell, and then. So does your partner, and then some Sableye come in, notice you're awake, and then they knock you out again, and then just dark. You just see darkness, but you can hear you and your partner's voice. And then the spotlight go on you. I don't know. No, was your partner talking? And I don't think they were talking anyway. Your spotlights turn on, and then it turn on you and your partner, and you see Grovile's also there, and all three of you are tied to obelisks. and you are about to be executed by Dusknoir's minion, the Sableye. But with Groval's help, you and your partner and Groval all escape, and they run. You go through a couple of dungeons. Then there's this cutscene where basically your partner doesn't trust Groval, so Groval goes a separate way for a little while. Then you and your partner goes through a couple of dungeons. Then a quick break, and you try to use your dimensional screen on some water that's frozen, because in this world time has stopped and the world has become paralyzed, and this is what Dusknoir said would happen to the world if all the time gears were stolen, and what Groval's ultimate goal was. You know, the sun never rises and everything's just like frozen in place, but your dimensional screen just doesn't do anything. Then you go through another dungeon and then you see this cutscene, and Groval is just like, oh, I wonder what happened to those two. It doesn't matter, I gotta get back to the past. And then Spiritomb, well, you don't know Spiritomb, but this voice comes out of nowhere, just like, hey, what are you doing on my land? And then it fades black. You go through a couple more dungeons. Then you find Groval with a purple aura emanating around him, and then he is just like, it's a trap. And then Admiral Akbar comes down and goes, it's a trap. And then Spiritomb comes down, and you get in a fight with Spiritomb. Once you beat Spiritomb, the purple aura from Groval goes, and the Spiritomb gets scared off. Groval says that Spiritomb are usually timid Pokemon, but due to the world's paralyzation, they have, become restless, and basically they've become angry and everything. Anyway, so your partner basically states that they don't trust Groval, but they continue on, and then there's a cutscene of Dusknoir telling somebody in the dark that the prisoners have escaped and they're going to need his help to catch them again. That anybody who tries to change the past has to be arrested and stopped. Has to be stopped. And then you just see a glow in darkness and a roar. You go through a couple more dungeons, a couple more saves, and you meet this Pokemon, Celebi, a friend of Groval's. And fun fact, this is a pink Celebi, so it is a shiny. Thank you, Nintendo, for teasing us with a shiny Celebi we cannot get. I don't even think there was a Pokemon Mystery Dungeon event for a shiny Celebi for the game, so thanks, Nintendo, Game Freak or whoever. So anyway, Celebi then joins a party, and you have to get to this time gate area, and but before you left, when you first met Celebi, Celebi made an odd statement that you just kind of shrug off as nothing. And while talking to Groval, he said, "Oh, and your friend's here." And yes, the Celebi is canonically a female. Oh, and your friend's with you. And oh wait, doesn't matter. The ducks are away.
Are they completely away?
Yes. Anyway. So Celebi joins you. You just shrug that off, and you continue on with your journey. And you get to the time gate, but Dusknoir and his minions are there, and the Groval's ready to fight. And Dusknoir just laughs and says, "Do you really think I would come here alone?" And then suddenly, on top of a mountain, you see Primal Dialga. And you know where there's not much difference, but apart from that, he's a bit and that where the blue lines on his body usually would be are now red, which is which I really do like the primal dialga design. It's not as cool as the primal primal ground on a primal Kyogre, but yeah, it's technically the first primal in a Pokemon game, so Gen 4 did it first. Anyway, moving on. And then Groval reveals that he didn't go to the past alone. He went with a friend. And then Dusknoir basically reveals that you are his friend, because his friend was a human with your name, and he had the dimensional screen. And it is revealed that when you went back in the past with Groval, you got separated and somehow got turned into a Pokemon, and it separated, turned into a Pokemon, and then got amnesia. And then Groval completely and utterly loses all hope. Your partner doesn't lose hope. Your partner asks Celebi to help them travel through time, but with Primal Dialga there, he can just completely shatter that. But Celebi still does it, and he does it. But it gave them enough space so that they could get to the dimensional gate and get through it, and they all escaped. You, your partner, and Groval return back to the past, and I do not know what happened to Celebi. I think there might have been more revealed in Groval's story, because you can unlock these side stories during the game, and I think more might have been revealed there, and I might go over their plot summary for them at some point too, if I feel like playing through them on my cartridge version of the game. But yeah, I'll do that. Anyway, so when you get back to the past, you go and recollect the Tangiers. You, Groval, and your partner go get the first Tangier that's in the forest that you saw near the beginning of the game and in this Let's Play. Then, when you've gathered the first Tangier, Groval goes a separate way to go and collect more Tangiers, and you have to gather information. So you basically gather a bit of information, and you decide to go back to Wigglytuff's guide and ask them for help. And Chatot's reaction to your story is, that's a nice story, you must have hit your head or something. Yeah, the Great Dusknoir evil. And then the whole guy, and then it goes, do any of you actually believe this? And then it's like, but there's this is like, I do, by golly. And then the whole guy just goes like, yeah, I believe them. And then Wigglytuff goes, well, we're all in agreement then. And your partner's just like, but Charlotte doesn't believe us. We're not Guide Master. Charlotte doesn't believe us. And the Guide Master's just like, I think Charlotte believed you the entire time. And then Charlotte just breaks out into laughter and just like, haha, yeah, I could never hide anything from you, Guide Master. And he reveals that he didn't just want everybody to go with what he said. So they alert the lake spirits that Groval is not a bad guy, and that they need to gather all of the time gears. Also, your partner, while gathering information, your partner said that the time gears were put back in their place, but time never was restored to those places. Anyway, so you are then tasked with finding a way to get to Dialga's like Tower of Time. So you go to the talk hole. I forgot to mention that earlier on in the game. You go into this gem dungeon, which you find out that later on that Wigglytuff had already been there, so you think it's just completely pointless. But no, until until now. Anyway, when you go through the gem cave, you end up in this hot spring where the village elder Torkoal lives. So you have to go to Torkoal and basically ask him about it because he heard like old legends, and then he's just like, you need a particular you need something to prove that you are worthy. So you go back to the guy, and then you talk about among each other, and then Torkoal comes back and he to say that he remembers what the proof of relevance was, and it was a bit of stone with a particular pattern on it. And then you tell your partner to show Torkoal your relic fragment, and his relic fragment is the fragment that has a particular pattern on it, which is evidence of worthiness to get there. So then you have to go through this massive cave, and in cutscenes you see Wigglytuff talking to a Lapras. So basically you get teamed up with Chatot to go through the dungeon, and everyone else goes with you. And it is revealed that there was a gang of very strong Pokemon, very strong vicious Pokemon. And when you get to the end of the dungeon, well, one dungeon, pause bit, second dungeon, this is how most of the game goes, really. Chatot, in the middle bit, Team Skull messes with you, takes a relic fragment, and then when you catch up, and then Chatot, chases them without you. So when you catch up with Team Skull, you take the relic fragment back off them. Well, Skunk Tank gives it back because you took pity on them. And then you and your partner go and meet up back with Chatot, and he's just like, I remember this place. And then you remembers where the gang of vicious Pokemon came from, and they came from above. And then they jump down and attack you, and it's revealed that it is Kabutops and two Omastars. Anyway, they jump down to attack you, but Chatot protects you with his body. And then when you beat them, the rest of the guide catches up with you, and Wigglytuff is with them. And Wigglytuff basically says that when he and Chatot went there, they jumped down to attack him as well, but Wigglytuff as well, but Chatot protected him, and they basically get him back to the guy. Grovyle is with Wigglytuff because Wigglytuff found Chatot, not Chatot, found Grovyle, and he had all the time gears with him. And then you and your partner go put the relic fragment in this room that basically had a larger copy of the pattern on the wall, and then it shoots out a beam of light, and then the Lapras that Wigglytuff was talking to comes through this like opening in the cave. So it's like you're at sea level, and there's an opening in the cave, and that's where it shot out. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. Anyway, and then you, Grovyle, and your partner jump on Lapras, and you go to the island. And while you're talking to Lapras revealed that Lapras found that Wigglytuff and Chatot after Chatot had been attacked, but after Wigglytuff had fended off the fossil Pokemon. And Lapras, in exchange for Wigglytuff promising to never tell anybody about that place, took Chatot home, helped him take Chatot home, and that cutscene where we saw Wigglytuff talking to Lapras. Lapras asks how's Chatot, and he's like, oh, fine, but there's one thing, and you have to break that promise we made all those years ago. You get to the island, and then you have to make your way up to the tower. So basically you have to go through 2 dungeons. Usual, this happens a lot. And then plot twist, Dusknoir was waiting for you there. So you and your partner and Grovyle have to take down Dusknoir and a group of Sableye. Now this is possibly the I definitely say like one of the hardest battles. That's not a boss battle in the game. Anyway, when you beat Dusknoir and the Sableye retreat into the portal behind them, and Groval pushes Dusknoir into the portal to the future and drops the Tangiers for you, and your partner. And while this is happening, your partner is getting put his relic fragment in this hole, and like it was charging up it or whatever. So he wasn't there. He doesn't hear this bit. But Dusknoir says before Groval pushes him in, if you fix the future, then you will disappear, because you would have no reason to go back to the past to fix the future, because the future would never have been broken. Now, ignoring the paradoxes and you think the whole thing, this really puts a lot of weight on your shoulders. You're just like, if I do this, then I disappear, leaving my partner all alone. And they just leave, and that is just hanging on you while your partner just goes, collects the Tangiers, and let's go, and then just goes, let's go. And that thought is just weighing on you for the rest of the main game. So basically, you take this floating stone up to a temporal tower, I think it's called, and you go through 2 more dungeons, and just before, and you also hear Dialga roaring from time to time while you're in the little areas. And then when you're finally up there, you face a not Primal Dialga, but just like Dialga, but starting to go crazy. Anyway, so you beat Dialga, you put the Tangiers in, and a time everywhere is restored and the future is saved. And then on your way, and then you go down Temporal Tower, and before you get to the stone to go down to go back to Lapras, bubbles start forming around you. And I don't want to ruin the scene too much if you haven't seen it yet, and I would definitely suggest playing the game just to see this scene alone. But bubbles start forming around you, and you tell your partner that you have to go now, and it's a really heartbreaking scene. Anyway, you then disappear, and you just see your partner crying, and then you just see them taking the path home, going down the thing, going on Lapras, getting back to the guide, and to tell everybody that you were gone. And while that's happening, the credits are rolling. But that's not the end of the game. Anyway, so Dialga, because he is a god of time, is like, yeah, no, that's too sad. Like, seriously, too many emotions. They're like, no, seriously, you can come back. Just no, that's too sad. Like, my heart is literally made out of steel, and that's too sad even for me. So, you come back, and basically Wigglytuff and the guy tell you about basically you can go as an independent exploration team. You have to go get this item from this place where Pokemon used to go to evolve, but for some reason wherever made Pokemon evolve no longer made Pokemon was no longer there. So you go there, and before you leave, they tell you about the Grandmaster of everything evil. Anyway, so you go there, and then you fall into a pit, and you fire, and then it's just darkness, and then you hear the Guidemaster of everything evil, and then Bidoof uncovers the top of the hole to reveal it's just the guide and Wigglytuff. And then when you beat them, they still insist on like role playing as like Guide Master of everything evil. Anyway, you beat them, You see Ursaring and Teddy Ursa, who go there regularly to play, apparently. I think you might have seen them earlier, but I know you definitely see them there. And then Teddy Ursa evolves into an Ursaring because the reason why the evolving place that didn't make Pokemon evolve anymore was due to the time being fudged up. Anyway, oh, and the item you were sent to get was a perfect apple. Anyway, and you can now evolve your Pokemon. But when you or your partner try to evolve, according to it, you can't evolve because it would mess with time somehow. So you just shrug it off for a little while. But you can evolve the rest of your teammates. It's just you and your partner that can't evolve. Yeah, anyway, you basically take the perfect apple back to Wigglytuff, and it'll be an awkward scene where you basically know that Wigglytuff was a grandmaster of everything evil, but they're still denying it. Anyway, so basically all that changes is that I think you can get new harder missions. You still only get like 10%, yeah, about 10% of the Poke because they still take most of the money. And your headquarters are now in Shakpede Bluff. So after a few missions, Palkia abducts you and tries to destroy you. After beating Palkia, it was revealed that Palkia was manipulated by a Pokemon called Cresselia to try and destroy you. So then you have to, and then Cresselia tries to destroy you, but it was revealed that it wasn't Cresselia. It was actually right. This is a bit that I played the least, so this is the bit I'm most fuzzy about. The real Cresselia comes to find you, and that Cresselia takes you to go and beat the other Cresselia, which turns out to be Darkrai. And when Darkrai tries to escape, and Darkrai wants to destroy you because you make the future not paralyzed, and he liked it when it was paralyzed. And when he tried to escape, Palkia comes in, and because Palkia didn't like being lied to and manipulated, Palkia destroyed the portal that he went through. Also, it's revealed that Darkrai was the one who attacked you when you and Grovyle went back to the past. So it's his fault that you are now a Pokemon and you now have amnesia. So, then when you get back, you find out that you can evolve. And that is the end of Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Time's main campaign. There's an extra bit in Explorers of Sky where, well, actually, I think Explorers of Darkness might only have the bit with Darkrai, but I think Time has it as well. But this bit is exclusive to Sky. There's this smoothie place that opens up in Explorers of Sky, and eventually they have their own expedition in the post game where you will find where you will meet Shaman and this Pokemon called Scizor, which was frozen for hundreds of years. You free him by defeating a Frostlass, and he shows gratitude by giving you the secret rank. Anyway, and that's the only thing extra that I know of. I haven't played Explorers of Sky as much as Time, and I've played a little bit of Darkness. But yeah, I really wish I could have done a full Let's Play of this and not just relegated to a couple of episodes and a basic plot summary. But yeah, definitely play the game if you can get it, or just emulate it if you want. For some reason my emulator is a bit buggy, so I'll have to sort out, or maybe one day. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.